Welcome back to another game of Royal Reason. This is a 4v4 on, I think this is quite a newish map, Cape Violet. That's why I wanted to see what this was about. It's definitely a version 1, as it says, so, and you can normally see them down here. I don't very rarely scroll in, it's a 2020, so, 20 be sort of 10. Right then, let's meet the main commanders first, shall we? As usual. And this is Pro she, I think you pronounce it. I usually butcher the names, my apologies. Obviously, he's been around quite a bit. He is the highest player on the map, so bit of a disadvantage for the others, really. He shouldn't really be playing on this one against a lot of these lower tier players. But anyway, he is a Cortex, and his opposite number is the Hegemony, I think we pronounce it. And he is a Cortex also. So he started off with water, which makes sense. This is why I wanted to cover it. It's a very unusual map where you've got parts of it. Like I said, I've not seen it before. This is ticks won't be able to allow to go in here, but definitely bots can. You can see the light area compared to. So this is classed as deep water. This dark color, and this is classed as shallow water, if you like, which what bots can. Apart from ticks, ticks cannot go in any water whatsoever. So that's the reason why. Now, I assume things like rovers and that would be perfectly fine. It may not be, I don't know. So, we'll see. So, Edge is pushing up here quite substantially, our blue player. Again, not got much out at the moment. He's getting a construction ship and some frigates. But the same on this side. So it's definitely. So basically, the centre's the only one that can do vehicles or anything. Everything else is on the water, no matter which side you are, which is slightly an unusual map. This is why I wanted to cover it. Like I said, I've not seen the map before, so I know most other people will cover, like I say, all that glitters and Supreme Infamous. Now, I like obviously Supreme Infamous a lot, but the trouble is I found people get slightly bored with them, sort of maps because, there's nothing new, you know what I mean? And so people tend to just cover them because, they can be popular. But I like to cover all sorts of maps. And I also like to cover the higher players, medium, and, different videos because I think it's important if you wanted to get in the game, you need to see all variations and also what not to potentially do. When I first started, I would always build up a lot of static defense, and that's not always the best way to do it. Anyway, so the Corvette's just going to tickle this constructor, but he should be knowing that this is coming out. He should have something to... Yeah, so the frigate's going to... Well, that'll just take down the Corvette. The Corvette should be slightly faster, though. But no, it didn't get away. So what about this one? So the orange is methodically going forward instead of just booling forward. So we've got the torpedo launchers. They will do some damage to any ship, including the larger ones. Obviously, the larger ones have got more chance of taking them down a lot faster. But dolphins are fast. I'm quite surprised he's not actually sending them in to find out where he actually is. But each to their own. Unless he's going to pack what I call pack the bus maybe around here and saying, right, that, although he's obviously stopping his own player here. Yeah, definitely subs. I would definitely favour subs on this. Now, I don't know whether they can go through this. Obviously, amphibious tanks can. Now, that's another player that we don't see all that too often. A torpedo launcher is now going to start firing. It will take down them, but I think the frigate, especially when he gets a destroyer out. Now he's got what's he got? So sorry for going away for it. No, he's still going for the frigates and not going for anything else. I certainly don't think the destroyer would be able to go through there. Now a submarine certainly will, but Dolphin might be allowed to go through that as well. And so, in a sense, this centre's, they're only going to fight on these two instead of fighting on all four. So, the amphibious tanks is a good idea, because obviously they don't care what depth it is. But they will obviously get hit by a torpedo launcher, and they, as far as I'm aware, cannot fire themselves, like we see here. So they'll probably be destroyed, like this is. So in some respect, this is a wasted attempt, because it's not going to do a lot, because they're already going to be anti-doling metal. So hopefully he's seen that, and he's not carrying on sending them, or he's actually going to send them a different way. Although the choke point here is difficult. So it looks like I am right. He's basically saying that's as much as I'm going to get here. And I'm not building too far forward, although the countermanded orange has done the same, so hopefully we'll see that push. I would like to see somebody pushing up there to see what they can push up there. I said a submarine I would assume would definitely be able to go up there, but I very much doubt anything higher than maybe the Dolphin. What we saw there with a little frigate, the Corvette maybe, that might be able to get through because it's shallow. We'll just see. Nice to see his... he's going to de-gun him. Well, well, I'm surprised at that. He didn't really do a lot, and now he's just given the... See, that's a misplay. As far as I'm concerned, that's a complete misplay. You've just doled your counterpart 1250 metal, because obviously that's what the command. I think it's still 1200 as far as I'm aware. So that could power his T2. Hopefully he's going to start the T2 off. Now he's eating this up, because this would make sense. The reason why I say that is because either that he's going to have to store it. He's going to have to do something, because there's no way he'll just waste metal, and you don't really want to waste metal. That's certainly early on. Now we got the destroyer out. The destroyer will do well against the torpedo launcher, and certainly against anything else. But it, the trouble is it's slightly slower. Like here, the little these frigates are just really nice. They're fast, quick to build. Which in this sense is what you want. I'm not a great... I must admit, I'm not a great water player. Yeah, you see. So we can definitely see... Yeah, so... Yeah, that's right there. So the frigates can go through. But I've never reached out anything from the frigate upwards will be able to go through here. So it is possible to stop this attack. Certainly with the frigates. Unusual, though, that frigates are firing at bots, but that's the way, that's the way Bar rolls. I think that's why we like it. The variation in the game. The maps do have a central pivotal role on how a game is played, though, for sure. So that's just taken all that out. And there's all that metal that can be eaten up. Yeah, so Radic is eating up this metal, so hopefully he's going to do a lot more with it. Hopefully he's not... Now, to be honest with you, he might be okay. Yeah, he could start off this amphibious tank push again. For sure. Obviously, these won't be able to go anything under... They won't go anything on the deep, but the amphibious will. It's not a bad little unit, actually. It's not got a lot of health, but get a few together, and they will do the damage. So we've got the Janisses here. That'll absolutely strip out like that, but obviously now the Janus is going to be hit again, because obviously, yeah, that's done. So Yellow Place sent all them units, and it looks as if he's decided to change to vehicle. Not too sure about the artillery. It's not going to fire long enough, I'm afraid, my friend. You'd be better off. You'd be better off with some more medium tanks, or even some maybe whistlers if you wanna. If you wanna fire stuff that's far away and not, not commit too much. But these scout, the incisor and the scout tank will strip out all of this stuff. This unit's not going to do anything because it's only going to fire at air because that's an anti-air bot, so that's going to get destroyed. He's putting up some defense really quick, but it's a bit too late. You want to be taking this energy storage out. That's one of your main. Metal's fine, no problem with that. That's what you want to do. But if you can get to this energy storage, because that's where all his energy, well, the name implies, is stored. This is the right way of doing this, splitting these up. They might be slightly close, but they're not too bad. I'm just going to carry on focusing on here for a few seconds. So one of his fringes decided to come over, J3, and he's going to degun these, or he's just going to do, have his laser and bat them down. That's nice. The construction to it, that's another reason you can take these out. Now he's decided to push forward to somewhere else. Hopefully, yeah, that's the end of that push. That was a good... And no, you're not going to do me, thank you very much. So where are we at? Where are we at now? Well, it looks like all these corvettes or frigates that were there have been destroyed. Not much left of the torpedo launcher, which will get absolutely obliterated now. Now we have got their frigates, so they don't have a depth charge. So this submarine should be able to fire against these. But it just has to move away. The submarine's a lot slower, so that's not too bad. It's not going to take out these. These subs will have a field day with it. But there's not enough of them. Oh, the torpedo launchers are here, so that might persuade him not to. No, he still said, I don't care, I'm going in. But I think he's going to end up losing this. That's all he's got, though. He's only got one left. Oh, and the person decided to back out. I think if it had gone there, he would have done a lot more damage and taken some of this. Sorry, I missed the commander blown up. But we'll... Blue is relatively taking all this section at the bottom now. Our pro combat. You would expect this. You would expect this to happen anyway. Because obviously he's a more experienced player than any of these two. Certainly in the Red Commander for sure. I'm not saying the Red Commander's a slouch because he's not, but he's nearly half the amount of point system than the. I think it's Chi. Is it Chi? C-H-E? Pro Chi. I use this Pro with a pinch of salt now because the Pro, as what we would class as the Pro, the levels are extraordinary now on bar compared to years ago. You would say, I mean, he is, according to my notes that I've got here, he's a 36. And I would question that being a Pro by now. You need to be in the late 40s, 50s. Oh, there we go. Torpedo bomber. And, yeah, so it's questionable now whether that name implies, if you like. In fact, I think you just rename it and call yourself Pro. You can, but I mean, don't get me wrong. He's an experienced sea. You can see that he's. I think he's won something. I think that's what the star means. You used to get that. You used to get a hat on the commander, but I don't know whether they still do that if you've won a tournament. And I know some of these days, some of the bar tournaments do pay some money. I mean, it's not. We're not talking of StarCraft 2 money here, but we're talking of you know, maybe 300 quid, which is 300 quid, you know. You don't need to declare it in your back pocket. But you got to be good, you know. A lot of these players have played it from, let's say, Total Annihilation and things like that. You know, when I when I was playing Total Annihilation, we didn't even have the internet then, or very little. No, I don't even think we had an internet really. So it's a bit scrappy. There's no, but definitely the Blues got the upper hand here. It's how these two are gonna. I would like to see. I think it's pronounced Quadrion. Our pink player and the red team up against the blue. Excuse me. I think that's the only solution they're going to take down this blue. He's starting to get far too large. He's now building some energy converters on the water. He's only building advanced construction so far. Nothing really, you know, we're not going into any of the bigger units that he could build. You know, like the Black Hydra. But the Hydra's pointless. If you think if he builds some Hydra, it can't go through there. I think his best bet, if it was me, and obviously I was as good as him, I'd be wanting to go build maybe more. I think the subs will go through, like I said, the Kraken, they'll go through. The Salt Submarine could go through. But you might even find a cruiser would go through. Anything that's small, you know, and you can build a jammer, I think that would go through.
Destroyed.
But ooh, they're taking some down. The anti-air, that's a good bit of flak in there. This will take down the rest of them, I assume. Yeah, that's going to take down now. Now here we go. So we got this. So we got that's just the air. So that's will go through. So the frigates are definitely going through this chokehold, as we can see here. So that's the only, but they are getting all this infrastructure. You know, he is getting these. The torpedo bombers are deadly against the obviously ships, for sure. And that's what they're designed for. So these frigates will absolutely melt, because this missile will go around and just do that. I think that's brilliant. It very rarely misses his mark. I'm not saying it doesn't miss his mark, but it very rarely misses his mark. So our tech player is doing only anti-air, but I would have liked to seen him at least send some. He's still only on T1, which I'm really surprised at. I mean, the whole point of him is to tech up. And he's not doing it. Even on this side, we have got the T2. Now, he's going for a Lecce, so this will be devastating. If they can get this out, I don't see any air on the other side that's swimming around. So we'll follow this guy and see what he's going to do with it. Because these are really expensive to build. And hopefully he's going to... It could be sly and fly it down. Well, I would say fly it downwards, but he's not going to... Where's he going with it? No, he's not doing anything with it at this moment. Quite surprised that's in... Isn't it that way? Well, no, it's not. It's on land. So he's either waiting for a couple... what he might do is wait for a couple, as we can see here. Produce some fighters. Yeah, so... Yeah, produce some fighters and the sonar. And then send them out and put the Lecce behind it. Yeah, he's definitely planning on something because he's pushed them up to the top. I'm trying to keep an eye on that. So I'd like to see what he's going to do with them. Now we can see he's pushed them forward. I don't think that's enough, though. The fighters are there, which I... he's using the sort... Where's he going to go? Probably the green. That's where he's decided. They will be spotted for sure, but whether the green can do anything... Now, this is a... here we go. Oh, he's going to take the commander out if he can. This will take the commander out. That's it. Done. He's still got one left as well. That was a very good play. Oh, they decided to cheap out at that. Anyway, that looks like the end of the game. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. I was surprised at that. So we will see you in the next one. Hope you enjoy that. Don't forget to check out PigsTV.com for all the latest stuff. Bye for now.